If at first it wasn't bad enough that they are coming for jobs, they're coming for savings, they're coming for credit, all of these forces are being sent out into the world to attack people at their most vulnerable points, being their financial stability and ability. At a time where prices are continuously rising, jobs are continuously being lost, inflation continues to run rampant, and we are on the brink of a recession, an economic depression, a time at which people are really just trying to do their best to survive and get by on what little they do have, while trying to find opportunities and ways to scrounge up a few more pennies or a couple dollars or a couple bucks here and there just to get by. Let alone the central banks are issuing their counter against the decentralized cryptocurrencies, Bitcoin, XRP, BTC, Ripple, ETH, Ethereum, Dogecoin. The banks, folks, the banks are in on it too. But not quite what you may think. And I'm going to explain that to you here. But what I want to do is, first, I want to explain to you that I still hold true to my three principal pillars of diversity, security, and cash flow. Especially, I told you guys this at the tail end of last year, 2022. My predictions for 2023 were more of the same. And that is holding true with what we're seeing here, with more of the same pain being felt and more of it, and more of the same tactics and strategies to ultimately wipe out the financially less stable, those who don't have savings, those who don't have investments, those who don't have high paying levels of income, multiple income streams, passive, diverse income streams, those on the right-hand side of the cash flow quadrant, business owners and investors. This is attacking actually all of them, really. Employees, self-employed, business owners, investors. You know, I'm almost tempted to contact Robert Kiyosaki and ask him what he thinks about this, because this, in my opinion, folks, is yet another reason why I continue to diversify my portfolio. I'm going to put a screenshot up so you guys can see an example of a diverse portfolio pie, so you can really understand what I mean when I say diversify. This is why I continue to diversify and continuously work to secure what I have and what I will have coming, while maintaining this cash flow, because I don't want to produce this cash flow only for it to be vulnerable. And the diversity is huge, especially in this particular situation, in this particular case, in this instance, where this couple here could have potentially had their retirement plans derailed in a sense, because of what this bank, Chase Bank, did to them. I'm gonna share that with you folks, and I'm pretty sure that not only are they now looking to diversify, but like many others, worried about their IRAs and their 401ks, the potential economic storm that is approaching, actually here for some already, which is sad to say, because it's the beginning, folks. This is just beginning. Jeremiah Babe said, I believe he said that we are in the second inning, which is an interesting way of calculating the time frame of which we are going to be struggling to push through this financial and economic challenge. And the reason why I say that is because baseball, unlike football or basketball or soccer or hockey, Baseball has innings. It has 9 innings, unless you go into extra innings. But it's got 9 innings standard. But there's no time frame. There's no limit. So an inning could last as long as it needs to. Whereas football, basketball, hockey, soccer, the periods, the quarters, they have specific time and roughly, give or take, a play review, a penalty review, a timeout, or whatever. They're going to be pretty close to those times. Baseball innings could last forever. And we're only in the second inning, according to Jeremiah Babe and his evaluation of this, lack of better words, shit show that we're in economically, financially, as we are on the brink of a recession, the brink of an economic crisis and collapse happening at home for so many folks, and they don't even know just how bad it's about to get, with the banks gunning for them to fail while leaving them in the dark and potentially just wiping them out with no recourse. So like I said, these folks, much like many others who are concerned, are more than likely going to be looking at ways of diversifying. And top experts are all calling for the same that I'm talking about, folks: diversity. And, you know, me personally, physical hard assets, gold, protecting my wealth, many other homestead channels, many other prepper channels, all speak with a resounding opinion and voice about what we are experiencing now, and more than likely what we are expecting to experience in the near future. And we haven't even gotten into the Fed rolling out the CBDC yet, folks. So I'm just going to drop a link down in the description for anybody who's interested in getting their free definitive gold guide from Genesis Gold Group. Their phone number is 1-800-200-4653, or you can check them out at their website at genesisgoldgroup.com, or just call them 1-800-200-GOLD. Because after reading this story, it'll all make sense in just a moment here, okay? Because if this was you or your parents or anyone you knew that was nearing retirement and this happened to them, yeah. Chase Bank finally returns money to a Mesa couple after freezing their accounts. Now, we've talked about Wells Fargo, we've talked about PNC Bank, we've talked about Bank of America, but here we are with Chase Bank. And it says here that the couple had to file a lawsuit against Chase to get their $50,000 back. As the court date was approaching, Chase finally gave in and returned their money. Now, I'm going to read this to you so you guys, I'm going to throw it up on the screen too, but it says that we have an update on a Mesa couple who says their bank hijacked their money and refused to return it to them. To complicate matters, bank officials refused to explain why they did it. Finally, the money has been returned. It says here, and I quote, Chase's attorneys called ours and said Chase wants to give you your money back. And Barb, this is according to Barb White. Barb and her husband, Steve White, had been waiting 4 months to hear those words. And in a previous On Your Side report, the Whites explained how they tried to log into their Chase Bank accounts and discovered the bank had frozen and then closed all 3 of their Chase accounts with no warning. The couple said Chase hijacked nearly 50 grand of their own money, and to make matters worse, Chase refused to give the couple an explanation. Now, this reminds me, unfortunately, of the similar experience with Bank of America, where a gentleman made a deposit at a Bank of America branch. He put a check in, I think it was $35,000 check or something like that, and the bank then closed the branch the next day, and they lost his check. And the only answer he got from multiple employees, multiple banking associates, bank tellers, bank managers was, I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do. Now, it says here, and I quote, it would have been really appropriate and nice of them to say, hey, you guys, this is what we see. Can you explain? Can you give us a heads up? Can we work this out? And this is what Barb White said. And they replied back with nothing. It's just, we're going to take your money now, okay? Deal with it. And it says here that when On Your Side initially got involved, Chase Bank refused to discuss the issues with us as well, leaving the Whites only one option. They had to file a lawsuit against Chase to get their $50,000 back. And as the court date was approaching, Chase finally gave in and returned the couple's full amount. The Whites credit On Your Side for helping them to expose the issue and have moved all of their money to another bank. Now, I don't know if that's necessarily the answer, okay? Because they're all in on it, all right? And if it happened to one, it can happen to another. And if this were to be me, for instance, I would look to diversify. I would look to secure. Perhaps maybe I don't move all 50 grand to another bank. Perhaps maybe I move 25 to one bank, 25 to another. But it says here that we sure do appreciate all that you've done and the time that you've taken for us to get that story out, according to Barb White. And it still leaves a real bad taste in your mouth, just not having any explanation as to why, is what her husband, Steve White, said. The Chase Bank spokesperson had no comment to share with On Your Side or any explanation as to why it took 4 months and a lawsuit for the Whites to get their money. Now, that's the biggest problem, because the lawsuit, the attorney is not free. So these banks are in a position to be able to confiscate and commandeer your deposits in these pseudo bail-in type scenario situations with no mediation whatsoever. No arbitration whatsoever, no one to talk to, no one to communicate with. Literally, they take your money, they lock you out, and they say, tough noogies. Leaving you high and dry, wiped out, scared, panicked. 4 months, missing 50 grand, and a bank just telling you, nah, bruh, we can't tell you nothing. So then you got to pay the attorney. And fortunately, Chase finally gave in and returned it, which I want to reach out to these Whites and ask them some more questions about the situation, because I feel like there's got to be way more to this. I mean, these people look like a really nice couple. I don't see why the bank would want to do this to them. But with that being said, diversity is key. It's huge. And at this time, at this point in time, I don't want to be in a heavy position with cash in the bank. I want to maintain high levels of diversity. I want to secure cash flow producing assets. I want to continuously build my net worth. I want to have a safety net and a security backup plan. I want to have diverse means of financial transaction or ways of conducting financial transactions, which include decentralized cryptocurrency. I want to have it all, because you just never know. And, you know, I got some free links, 100% free links down in the description for anybody who's interested in gaining access to the tools that I use on a regular basis to accomplish these goals. But folks, this is some scary stuff here. This is some scary stuff here. And with the headlines that we have been seeing and reading, and I've been researching and investigating and reporting and bringing back to you all, this is the beginning. The banks are, and on one end, the banks are scared. They have liquidity concerns. They have credit concerns, bad debt default concerns. And on the other side, you know, the banks are looking for ways to steal money, where, there's really no way around it. There's no other way of describing it. And we've seen this happen with banks in other countries. We've seen it happen with this bank here. We know for a fact that the FDIC, based on the report that I brought you guys the other day, expect to see more banks collapse and fail in a recession. So folks, I just want to remind you of what I shared on a previous video, in that if and when this occurs, which they say will happen on a Friday, the last thing I want to do is be heavy in cash. So again, I'm going to put up on the screen a chart, a pie chart that you guys can take a look at and see here, a mock-up. I want you guys to have a visual of diversity and planning and strategy and preparation for what I would consider a really good strategy for preparation, okay? And when the banks collapse, the last thing I want to do is be heavy in cash, or in this instance, ones and zeros on a digital ledger in the cloud within a bank that's going to steal my money and then tell me that there's nothing that they can do. So I would much rather prefer, and additionally, in anticipation of central bank digital currency, CBDC, wiping out the dollar as we know it, I want to be heavy in assets. I want to be heavy in assets, and I want to be heavy in other equities that will allow me the ability to maintain my net worth as the new currency, the new medium of exchange, is then used to revalue these assets and maintain my cash flow positions. I hope this makes sense. I hope this is helpful. I hope you guys are okay. I hope none of these bad things are happening to you. I hope you pay attention to the warning signs, and I hope you come back and watch another video. Subscribe to the channel, turn on alerts, and please give this video a like. It helps out the channel tremendously. Share this video. Help others have access to this information. Help them prepare, and most importantly, have access to the truth. Until next time, you guys take care. Be safe. I'll see you real soon. Bye.